life. We had just bought a house.
Sorry, I just realized I was recording.
No worries. We had just bought a house, so this is like a picture of the school year. It ends right in May. We closed on a house beginning of May. My wife doesn't make a whole lot of money. She's an admin assistant at a university here in San Antonio, and we knew we were pregnant, so we wanted to buy the house. And basically, around June or July, which is actually terrible for who had to take over for me, I just decided, you know what, I've been making all these changes. I'm finally ready to do this. I've been putting it off for so long. And so I always say I burned the boats because I had nothing. I took out my retirement and spent it trying to get my career going. And, when I told my wife that I was going to do this, I didn't even have my real estate license yet. And I had already resigned. So I was like, I'm going to make this no matter what. Like, I'm going to make this work no matter what. And, having your first kid, obviously, that's going to be a motivating factor. And, I wanted to be able to provide for them. But the big thing for me was that, like Brad said, obviously you have to work, but you can pick the days and weeks that you don't want to work. And that to me was priceless. I was like, I will take that and I'll do whatever I can to actually be able to deserve that time off, which I've been able to do. So, freedom, right? Money, freedom, all that stuff was a motivating factor for me. And then, I got selling real estate. I started to make that work and was able to sell enough real estate and just, make more money just selling real estate than when I was teaching, which that was a goal for me for a long time and a motivating factor. And prove people wrong. The principal told me to never come back to campus and, humiliated me. He made me bring my friggin' district laptop and keys to his office and like basically chastised me in front of his secretary. And it was like, wow. But, since I've been here and I've been successful as an agent for the most part, I've capped every year and things like that. I started looking at the RevShare opportunity and starting to build, the RevShare organization by sharing it with other agents. So that motivation turned into, I want my revenue share to be just as much as my paycheck was when I was teaching. And I'm basically at that point, give or take, about $8,000 or $10,000. I'm pretty close to doing that. And all of a sudden I'm going, you know what? I'm really motivated to help others, not just families buy and sell homes, but also to help agents and, to show them that there's this opportunity where you get rewarded on top of your commissions, for selling real estate. And that's been really rewarding for me to see other leaders to see what you're doing, Tony. And even, a lot of the new agents we're working with are getting started, and it's like, this is like the best career I think you could possibly be in, and especially with this company. So anyway, so that motivation can change and your why can change. And I think for me now it's sharing this with other agents, as many as I can, and helping them build their business and show them how, you and I were able to do this, because if we can, my God, anybody can. So, for you guys that I don't know too well on the call, if I could ever help you with anything, please, and Tony will tell you, I'll stop what I'm doing and could do a phone call or a coffee or whatever, or a Zoom. I just want to help. And I truly mean that. And so that's, I guess, my new why, Tony.
Yeah, no, I love it. And that reminds me of what we just attended, the Randy Boulay thing. He talked about the founder, Glenn Sanford. It says EXP is a personal development company operating in the real estate space. All right. And like, I know that I have developed personally by reading more, by being more educated, and the business side of things, by being healthier and working out. And then, through all these things, we help change lives of clients buying and selling. And I'm definitely turned on by helping agents achieve what I've achieved and more, and help them grow their business. So that's definitely a pretty strong why. Thanks for sharing. We're going to move a little bit faster on these next ones because I want to get back to this first original and try to answer some of these questions. Let's just go ahead and shout out what is something holding you back? Anybody?
The need to be perfect.
Let's see, need to be perfect. Okay.
I would say it used to be fear. I feel like I've kind of gotten over that hurdle and just
Fear of
I'm not
failure.
afraid to just get in there. Yeah.
Fear of failure. I've heard this and I don't really understand it very much. Fear of success. And does anybody have an explanation of fear of success? I feel like I can't explain that very well. Has anybody heard that, or what do you think?
I guess
I've
maybe
gone through oh, go ahead.
maybe that they'll become too successful that they'll lose sight of who they are.
Okay. Fear of success and changing who they are.
Yeah.
I think success leads to more hours too. You know, the busier you are, the more successful you are, the more busier you are, the more work you have. And some people, you know, may just want to keep it, you know, right here.
Yeah.
And when you grow your business, you're going to be busier. Those things are related. Yeah, you can streamline and get more efficient, but I don't know.
Yeah. And what I think about that is as you grow, you probably need to develop a team of some sort, you know? So like I'm starting to get pretty busy, but I have like Charles Agueros, who is a teacher, but might be able to help me show some houses in the evening, you know, because I'm showing another client some houses, you know? So, you know, Brad, as you bring on, I don't know her name, but, you know, maybe y'all are working in the same area, and all of a sudden you have two marketplace guys that are going at the same time. It's like, hey, can you go show these houses for me? Because I'm tied up over here. So yeah, I think it's definitely, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about the EXP thing is like we help each other out where we can, you know, and work together. What else is holding you back?
I think for me, it's just I'm always like trying to figure out what, you know, the biggest priorities are, you know, and not like wasting time on certain things. It's like a constant struggle for me. I feel like I've gotten better at it, but that's kind of a reoccurring thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Shiny object syndrome is what Neil Mathwood calls it. You know, just really focusing on like the 2 or 3 things a day. Like we got to get these things done to keep us moving forward. So all those are good. Need to be perfect. I get that. You know, you're probably a perfectionist, Colin. What I'm going to say is everybody that I've heard talk about this is fail forward. All right, we're you know, one of my mentees here did an open house, and I asked her how it went. She's like, well, there's only like 3 or 4 people that showed up, but I got them to sign in, but I learned some things and I did this. Like just go do something and do it terribly, but then learn from it and go, well, I'm not going to do it that way again. Right. And oh, I need to adjust this and this. And you might go out and do the same thing again and it'll be better, but then you'll learn something else that you go, that sucked. I'm not going to do that again. All right. So even today, like, why do we have a lower attendance today than past? Well, I was tied up with Randy's thing this morning and I plugged some things in. I didn't send out all my text messages that I usually do. You know, so you're always kind of evaluating. And I think that's how we grow, right? Evaluate what you're doing. How can you be better? What was successful? Why was it successful? Why did it fail? You know, etc. So, and then the fear of failure, you know, all I can say about that, in my opinion, is if you're stuck and not doing anything because you're fear of failure, then you're going to fail. Like you got to do something, right? And maybe that something is not the right thing, but at least you're doing something. You're taking action. You're moving forward on that, all right? And the fear of success, that makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. So we'll go ahead and move on. Let's shout out. What books are you reading right now? Are you reading any books? You don't have to. I've just gotten really hooked to it. I was reading yesterday and I shared the pages with you guys on the page, and I got done with it and I just told my wife, I was like, man, I really love reading because it's just so educational, whether it's something new or whether it's just going like, yep, I'm on the right track. All right, just a reassuring of going, okay, cool. You know, this is how these people have done it and this is their belief and it aligns with me. Are there any books that maybe we haven't mentioned that you came across that you would recommend? I know, Alan, you've probably read a decent amount of books. I haven't read Slight Edge yet, but I've heard that's a great one.
Yeah, that's always the one I recommend. It's a good one for sure. In fact, that's what I was going to talk about. And I also like a recent favorite is Relentless by Tim Grover. So
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm listening to that one right now. Honestly, for me, I'm kind of struggling listening through it. But Tim Grover is the trainer of Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade. And he talks about like the relentless drive to be the best. So it's good. But for whatever reason, I'm struggling getting through it. But there's some good stuff on that for sure. Anything else, guys? Any other books or we'll call it podcast as well, or motivation things that you've come across?
I just recently read The One Thing again.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think I'll go back to that every year, along with Ninja Selling. Those are just great, always to reread. I've worked through, I'm trying to think, in the last 2 months, I've worked through the 12-week year and the Neil Mathwood book as well. Just read Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. That's an interesting one. It's not, the title is a little misleading. It's interesting, but and then there's one that, this is a random outlier, and this guy's a little controversial depending on where you land on things, but Jordan Peterson wrote a book called 12 Rules for Life.
What is it?
It's called 12 Rules for Life.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty, I'm someone who personally like kind of struggles with like, what the hell is all this for? You know what I mean? Like, so I like reading things that kind of help you dial in your purpose or whatever. And that's a cool book for that. It's really just about, I'm a liberal person, but it is essentially a pull yourself up by your bootstraps, take responsibility. It's good to have responsibility. If you're not, if you're not loving what you're doing, you need to like dig deep and create some responsibility for yourself, and that will drive you. And it worked. It was very, very influential for me and kind of my mindset that we talk about all the time. So that's a good book. But I also know that if you ever follow him or run across him, sometimes he can be controversial on social media.
Yeah. That reminds me of have y'all listened to any Andy Frisella?
No.
Andy Frisella, I believe I'm saying that correctly. Alan sends me that stuff. And just about every sentence is the F word and this and you got to toughen up and blah, blah. And I kind of like it. But yeah, it's a little bit more, what the fuck's wrong with you? And you just need to figure out your shit and get to work. That's the general idea I get. But a lot of it's true. I mean, that I believe in that stuff. And it's like, hey, you reap what you sow. And it's like, hey, go do the work.
I have a couple little books I haven't gotten into yet. I haven't read the Miracle Morning yet, that it's sitting right here. But also, like, I've never felt like I'm a very good bullshitter, and that's kind of part of just the ability to have small talk with people. So I've bought like a couple little books I've run across that are like super well rated, like on Amazon or whatever. But one of them is called Better Small Talk. I haven't even started yet, so it's hard to say if that's good or not. Another one's a gratitude book, just how practicing gratitude makes you happier. It's called Thanks by Emmons, Emmons. But I haven't even dug into those yet.
That's interesting because that reminds me of exactly what I was reading this morning with Ryan Serhant. And he said he joined 3 different gyms all across Manhattan. And his whole thing was to meet 3 people every single day, right? And he says, start off with 1 and then start with 2. And he literally says, like he went to a bakery or something, and he just says, start with something simple like, oh, are those almond cookies? I've been meaning to try those. How are they? And just like little small talk like that, or just a simple compliment that could lead to a connection, a new client or not. It's just having those little small things and going, oh, I need some water. My name's Ryan. Need a spot. Nice Nikes. Oh, where'd you get those or whatever? and it just kind of starting a conversation. And maybe it doesn't lead to anything, but maybe it does, you know. So that's good. We're gonna skip these real quick. Let's go back to this first one and let's talk about what we want to get out of this. So we get something out of this, right? How to get from a cold lead to a hot lead. I love this. And then you also said situational advice. Each client is different. Give us a client. Pick a client of yours right now that you maybe just started talking to, or you've been talking to it for a week. Give us this situation and how, and then I'll try to give you how I would handle it. Maybe Alan can join in, and you know, we all have different approaches. Give us something.
I'll tell you the most recent one. This literally just fell in my lap today, and it's from a Facebook Marketplace lead. And the guy, what I wanted to say is what you're looking for doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I know that's a pretty, you know, he's looking for a decent size lot in the Metroplex at a price point that's just, it doesn't really exist, you know. And I did a couple searches, setting them up for alert, you know, and of course it comes back empty, you know, and even when you start expanding it, and I just didn't even know, this is a brand new, I don't know this guy. He just came to me. I think he saw something on the marketplace, and that's another side note, that like my Facebook Marketplace stuff has generated a lot of action on my website.
Nice.
So not even like, you know, direct messaging in Facebook from something I post, but they just end up over there. And when you start talking to them, like, yeah, I ran across some stuff in Marketplace. But anyways, yeah, so here's a guy who is interested, but what he's interested in doesn't really exist. I know honesty is probably the best bet, but I also want to kind of keep them and smooth out that conversation so we can start looking for something that does exist.
Yeah, that's funny because I have a very similar situation. This lady wants to sell her house in Lavernia, and she wants to buy a house in Bernie, which is extremely popular right now, on a 1 acre or larger, and her budget's like $600K. And so I set her up on a search for Bernie, and I put 1 acre minimum, and it's like 0 things come up, right? Because the price point's probably 700, 800 and up, right? So I set her up for like half acre, all right? So I adjusted some of her parameters for her without even asking. And I just sent her some stuff. And she liked a couple things. And she's like, hey, Tony, we're really looking for 1 acre or bigger. So I took off the price limit, right? I took off the price limit and just opened it up. I think I opened it up all the way to 1 million. And I don't need to show her the things above 1 million. But I said, here you go. I just adjusted your search. You know, as you can see, 1 acre lots and Bernie, you know, are probably starting in the 700 and up range. Now she's talking to her bank and seeing if they maybe can go that high. You know, it just all depends. I don't know her financial situation. I haven't met with her one-on-one yet, but there's definitely communication going back and forth. So I just purposely opened it up. So what I would say is go ahead and open up that price range, you know, bump it up $200,000 and see what's out there. And then just send it to them and say, hey, I had to bump up your price point to even find properties in the area that you're looking for. And then maybe go, hey, in your price point, you have to do a little bit of searching here. We can get you in your price point for what you're looking for, but it's going to be out here instead of centrally located or whatever. Does that make sense? Like kind of relocate them as an option, or bump up their budget as an option and say, if your budget's tight, we got to move over here. Or if you're flexible, we can stay in this area. So yeah, just play around with those numbers and adjust it. And I think Neil Mathwick talks about, what does he call it? Searching for properties. You do it every day.
Matchmaking.
Matchmaking. That's it. Thank you. So yeah, play around with that. And that's what I would do with that.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Like it's better to do it that way than to just tell them over the phone that doesn't really exist. Let them actually see it.
There was a great one on Broke Agent, I think, one of those funny Instagrams. I would have to search for it a little bit, but this guy's like, okay, you want this and you want that and you want this. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Let me pull that up. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. All of this was sold. Yeah. They sold in 1989, you know, and hung up, you know, and so it's just a spoof of like unrealistic
Right.
expectations. But yeah, just show them like, here's what's available if we have some room to adjust. But the cold lead to a hot lead, you know, is every situation is different. Let me see if I could quickly pull up mine. Does anybody else have any experience, or do you want to ask about another situation that maybe you're dealing with right now?
I think my issue is that I've gotten about 8 strong leads in the last couple of weeks, and 2 of them lately, which have been pain in the asses, to be honest. They like one person reached out and she was looking at a house, so I messaged her and whatnot, and she's like, I've already got financing up to 700. I'm all good to go. I just need a house by April because I have to end my lease for my family. And I check her out and she looks normal, like normal person. And I messaged her and she obviously hadn't read that message. And then I messaged her another time, like, hey, I've got all the houses available. Let me send them to your email. And then I think that's the part that people log off, is when you ask for an email. Because I have another person and they said around 450 and then under. And then we had a whole dialogue. And then right when I said, hey, I have all the messages, I have all the houses, can I send them to your email? Again, disappears.
Yeah, what I'm going to say about that is think about how you're phrasing things, right? It goes back to not necessarily what you're saying, but how you're saying it, right? And can you reorganize those words? So instead of saying, hey, do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell right now? You ask, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell in 2022? Right? And just simply flipping a couple of words and the exact same question triggers them into, no, I don't know anybody, right? Or I don't know, who do I know? That they have that brief little pause. So, and that is like, why don't you say, hey, I got all this, I got all the photos for the property you're asking for and all the information. What's a good email address for you? You know, and just jump straight forward, not, can I have a good email to send this to? You know, just say, hey, what's your email address? You know, hey, what's your phone number? If somebody came up to you and said, hey, Colin, what's your phone number? You wouldn't go, you would probably go, oh, it's 512, blah, 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 whatever. You know, you just start spitting it out. And I learned that little trick from Shane. Not go, hey, can I have your phone number so I can stay in contact with you? All right. Because if you ask them that question, can I have it? They'll be like, no, because you're just going to send me shit. All right. Can I have your email address to send this to? Just say, what's a good email address for you? And I'm willing to bet that you'll probably have more success just simply by changing those few little words. And boom, once you have the email, like Ricky Cruz says, that's all you really need. You know, it might not happen right now, but now they're on your weekly email, right? And you're just building up that database. So think about how you're saying that. Don't ask permission, ask for what you need. All right. So think about that.
Another thing along those lines, Tony, that like this personal experience, but like I have allowed myself to just let that shit go when they balk at giving you contact information. They're not interested. Move on. Stop wasting time on them. You know, like, you know, that used to like crush me. It's like, oh, I just lost, you know, X amount of dollar commission, you know, and it's like, there's just, and that would crush me. And it would like run into the next conversation with the next, you know, potential client. And now I'm just like, I think it might be Ricky too, or some, maybe it's Rick, but it's like no gets you to your next yes faster.
Yep.
You know, that whole mentality. And that was tough. That was tough for me at first. Like, I think it's just switching gears from a mentality in a previous career where like, no, you're gonna play that in tune. Like you're gonna push this button down, you know, just like it really is binary. You know what I mean? In what we did previously. And now it's like everyone's different, you gotta feel them out. And if they're giving you trouble about basic introductory communication in this relationship, like, okay, moving on, you know, I'm here, let me know, I'm here to happy to help, but without that I can't help you, so see ya.
Yeah, that's great. I just suffered kind of a frustration on the way over here. I was super motivated, took all these notes from Randy Boulay. I'm like, woo, we're gonna build this shit. And then I get this bad email on the way here, and I'm like, fuck, you know, because this guy contacted me on an email, and on Tuesday I responded and like, hey, yeah, thanks, man, for reaching out. I'll get this to you in the next day or two. Got some things going on. And then he responded to, and everything was good. He gave me a thumbs up. Sounds great. Look forward to it, right? He wants me to run some comps for 2 of his properties. Like, hell yeah, man, it's a badass. All right. So I'm already kind of banking on that. And then he sends me an email like this morning and he says, disregard that, Tony. Somebody else already gave me the information. I'm like, motherfucker, you know? And so I was pissed. I was frustrated. And before I got on here, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to run my comps anyways, you know, because I can knock out this comp within like 15, 20 minutes. So I dedicated, like I ate real fast and I did all my comps, sent on my marketing presentation as well. And I was like, hey, sent you all this information. Doesn't hurt to, you know, compare notes with the other realtor or something like that. Let me know if you have any questions. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to send it to him. Maybe he blows me off. Maybe he doesn't. He responded, got it. Thank you for sending this my way. I'll take a look at it. By the way, can you swing by my property because it's a little bit different? Said, hey, I got showings tonight, but I'm going to make it a point to stop by there tomorrow. So guess what? Around noon tomorrow, I'm going to go by. I'm going to take a video of his things. I'll be like, hey, here, checking out your stuff. I guarantee you that other agent's not doing that shit. You know, so just because that other agent got in before me and is sending him stuff, I'm going to send him better shit. I'm going to send him my marketing presentation, and I'm going to follow up at his property tomorrow, taking pictures and video. There's no fucking way that other guy's going to get over me. All right. So I'm turning a no or a negative into fuck it. I'm going to do it anyways, you know, and who knows, like, I'm just going to outdo that guy and I'm going to get this, you know? So even though I kind of dropped the ball, I picked it up and threw it up again and see what happens. All right. So I'll keep y'all posted on that. And but everybody's different here. Hottie, holy shit, man. This guy, I met him easily 2 years ago. We still haven't bought a damn thing, not a single thing, but he's a doctor with lots of money who has all these pigeons. He wants to buy multiple, you know, investment properties. So I stay in top contact with this dude because it's going to happen. Now we're at a point where he's pre-qualified, woohoo, as of like a month ago, right? But I kept him on there and I kept reeling him in, you know, and staying in contact as long as that conversation is there. I love this, what freaking Neil Mathwick says. He goes, you might have lost the deal, but did you lose the contact, right? As long as you don't lose the contact, then that deal is probably going to come back around at some point or another, right? And until they say, F off, I never want to hear you again, I hope you die, right? Then you're still in contact with them in some sort of way. They're on an email drip, they're on something, because they'll pop back up when they're ready, right? But Hadi, he's really close now, but he wants to buy several investment properties this year. He's pre-qualified now. And man, if I would have just dropped him a long time ago, I probably wouldn't have that, right? Grace, we've gone round and round. We've talked about selling her house. Now she's looking at buying different things. And we're still in contact. We've been talking for easily 8 months. And now all of a sudden she's signed up to get her real estate license. So now she's on my agent attraction list. I've already sent her stuff about EXP. So I might not sell a property with her. She might wait and to do stuff until she gets her license, but hey, whatever. She gets her license and she comes in into EXP with me. It's a win, and you turn everything into a win. Patrick, we've been talking for a while. None of these happen very quick. Extremely rare that you go, boom, that happened quick, done and done. All right. They take a while. I met her at an open house over a year ago. She has lots of money. She still openly communicates with me. This is going well. He contacted me like a month ago. He's selling his house in DFW, and he is buying a rental property here in town. So this one's going to happen pretty fast. That one's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. All right. But that came from a social media post. Right. This one was working with me, then found another agent, then came back in January and said, hey, can you help us again? Yeah, I'm here when you're ready. That shit happens. This one, Facebook Marketplace, she's, getting all the numbers aligned. This one was a referral. That one's happening pretty quick, but she's going through a process of estate sale, which ends this weekend. So I'm going to follow up with her and hopefully get a listing next month. All right. Julie Nixon, I met a long time ago, and she's up and down and sold her house, rental property. I need a rental house. No, I'm going to buy. No, just stay in contact because eventually it'll be something. And she's referred me some business. And this one happened pretty quick too. So it's just, Ryan talks about it, throw more balls up in the air and juggle as many as you can, because not all of them are going to land perfectly, but you try to keep them up and try to keep going and doing things and putting more balls up in the air to see what's going to happen. All right. So, so that's the general idea. I wanted to share that real quick. What are other agents doing successfully? How to implement that? What are they doing? You can be successful at anything. You can be successful at knocking on doors. You can be successful at open houses. I like what Ricky says. He goes, I don't care how you meet people. Eventually, it's going to be a face-to-face or voice-to-voice conversation. Right? You can pay for leads. All right. You can do Op City. All right. Colin, I don't know if you've signed up for Op City.
Yep. Not one single person since I've started.
Do you not get notifications on your phone?
No. So the only time I've ever gotten a notification was on Thanksgiving Day at 8 a.m. and I missed it.
Check in on that because you should get notifications. Brad, I'm assuming you turned yours off. Is that right? He stepped away. But
I'm here. No, I haven't. I changed my parameters. Once you get a deal to go through, you can be a little bit more selective, because I did get a good amount of alerts right out the gate. So I am surprised to hear that for Colin, but a lot of them were like, a far drive and super low budgets. And you can't really select those parameters until you close a deal. And then once you do, I dialed them in a little bit more, and then I really haven't seen anything since. So maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, no, follow other people and see what they're doing. I have my business Instagram, and most of it is just other agents or title companies or local news. And sometimes I use that stuff and watch what other agents do. But here's the thing. Sometimes I get discouraged of going like, man, how does this guy get so many listings? And how does this guy do this? And how's that guy do that? And then you go, how'd they get that listing? Almost every time that person knew that agent, right? It was probably a sphere. It probably wasn't some random person. I think the statistic is crazy high, of like 80-something% people that use a realtor that they know, all right, that or that has been in contact with them recently. Reassurance of not the only one feeling lost. Believe it or not, I feel like I'm on fire right now. I haven't gotten paid since October. I mean, I have things under contract that June and July closings for new builds. All right. I have one, and now my March got pushed back to April. But I know that what I'm doing on a daily basis is filling up my pipeline for a successful year. Right. And that's what we have to focus on, is not necessarily like, man, I don't know when my next paycheck's coming. It's hey, I know that if I do these things, if I do my 2 real estate reviews and send them out to my sphere. I saw that from a Keller Williams email yesterday. He said, you should be touching base with your sphere and sending them a CMA, because this time of the year, they might need to protest their taxes. All right. That it's tax coming up on tax season, and they need to see what the value of their home is. So if they want to fight their taxes, you can give them, here's the numbers of your house. It's a great opportunity. I was like, yeah, that's pretty smart. Maybe I should be doing that, more of that. All right. But you're not the only one feeling lost. It wasn't that long ago that I was like, I'm not really enjoying this, and then I met Neil Mathway. And then I really bought into building a business that I love. All right. And again, going back to those 3 pillars and going, you know what? I don't want to do door knocking. So why should I bother with that? I don't really want to call expireds and for sale by owners. So I'm not going to worry about that. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do the Facebook Marketplace thing. And I'm going to really focus on my sphere, right? My sphere, and going, I'm going to do a birthday campaign, and people love getting those little birthday cards, $5 here, $5 there for, my most important people, like pretty much my top 100, so they like that. And then all of a sudden, I swear, one of the referrals I got, he would have not sent me a referral if it wasn't his birthday recently. Like, I feel like he got the birthday card I gave him, and then boom, like within a week, he sent me a referral. And it's like, oh, I guarantee you, if I didn't send him a birthday card, he wouldn't have sent me that referral, because I hadn't talked to him or touched him in a long time, right? So you will definitely have slumps, and that's why you go back to, for me, it's the morning routine that leads into my daily routine, right? How do I find more leads to build up my pipeline? They're everywhere, all right? We've talked about that before, but they really are everywhere. I mean, you just say hi to people. Try to meet one person a day. That's what I got out of my reading this morning. Could I meet one person today somewhere? He talks about, he goes, I've met people waiting in Starbucks line and sold them, a $1.5 million condo. Of course, that's New York real estate, whatever, right? But, that's why I like going to Starbucks. I'm not a huge fan. And I would probably encourage you, Colin, to get out in public and like be seen. Like, what if you had your laptop up at a coffee shop and you were looking at houses, and people kind of walking by just saw you looking at houses? I think you'd be surprised that it kind of perks them up, and they're kind of interested in, like, oh, what are you looking at? And just like, as people walk by, I kind of try to look them in the eye. And if they look at me in the eye, I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Whatever it is. And just that genuine, hey, how are you doing, will spark something, could spark something. All right. For me, and I even told my wife this the other day, I was like, I struggle working at home. I really do. Even though I have my space, I just can't, I don't feel like I'm on fire and working. So I would encourage you to maybe find the local coffee shop. Maybe it's just going downstairs in your apartment complex into like a public space to where there's people walking around. Just the positive energy out and about. All right, getting some fresh air, doing stuff like that. I know it made a difference for me. And some people work really well at home. And maybe once I have a designated office space, I don't know if that's your office space, Colin, but you're probably like in your living space, which is fine and it's comfortable, but it's also kind of that. There's another book that I read. Oh gosh, Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits talks about setting up your space, right? Setting up your space and going, this is my workspace and this is where I focus in, And if you're kind of just in an open living space that you do other things in, besides work, sometimes just your spatial awareness doesn't really get you into focused work mode and knocking stuff out. So when you're feeling that, Alan and I go through the same shit, man. I'm telling you, like there'll be times when I first met with Alan back in November, and we kind of agreed to do this running partner thing together. I was on fire. I had just read Agent Rise. I was like, this is awesome. This is what I'm going to conquer the world. The very next week, and he was not pumped up, and I inspired him, right? The very next week, we flipped roles for whatever reason. I don't know what happened, but I was just like, I was dragging, and he was fired up, and just like that little spark of like, hey, how you doing? You doing okay? Then do you need me to kick you in the ass or what? Do you need me to slap you around? Do you need me to like hold you accountable on what you do? What are you planning on doing? There's good days and bad days, and that's part of it. And just finding it's okay to have a bad day as long as you don't have multiple bad days in a row and lead that into like, oh, my fucking week sucked. Oh, my 2 weeks have sucked. You have to go, fuck it. Today, I'm going to have a great day. Today, I'm going to talk to 5 people. Yeah, so that's a little bit of my thought on that. I don't think we got to everything. Let's go ahead and wrap up here in like the next 5 minutes. Brad, I feel like you're starting to get into a groove. What's working for you that maybe we haven't talked about?
For me, honestly, it's the schedule.
Yeah.
And there's days it's like I have it on my computer. It's up at 5, workout at 5:30. Then at 6:30, it's read for half an hour, and it's literally that half hour is whatever the hell I want to read. I finished that Gladwell book, and then I have like a stack of Success Magazine and the Realtor magazines that have come through. And like my biggest fear is situational stuff, like not knowing the trade as well as I should. So I'm actually interested in reading that stuff right now. So I've just been kind of rolling with that and reading all of those articles in there just to feel like a better informed real estate agent. Because sometimes I feel like a fake, you know what I mean? Like someone calls and like, yeah, you want to buy a house? I can help you buy a house. I got you. But really the ins and outs, like I don't know that shit, so I do like reading those. And then there's like a targeted 15 minutes of positive reading. That's been pretty great. And even beyond work, it's just good. But I have it's a year of positive thinking. That's been pretty cool. Then you do your affirmations like Ninja. And I've been writing those, like scribing I use my iPad, but I actually use the pencil and like write out stuff, write out your affirmations 25 times and all that bullshit. And dude, Tony's known me forever. Like I probably would have laughed at that 15 years ago. Like, whatever, dude, I'm gonna get up and do my thing. I'm fine. But as you get older, I think there's just more going on upstairs, and it's nice to kind of like it clears out some things and helps me focus. And then the other thing, Colin, you might want to start checking out is the Rick Tankersley Breakfast Club, 7:30 every morning. www.breakfastclub. Let me pull that up real fast. Just go to his Facebook and you'll see all about it. But all it is he's doing his spiel. He talks about specific things. You can ask questions. He'll usually, push it to the next day or two, but then he'll have a topic like that. If you have a question that he'll bring up, situational stuff that's really good. A daily dose from a lender, just in terms of like where the rates are and what they're offering, or credit recovery stuff. And honestly, I'm doing other shit. I'm already on MLS looking at Marketplace or whatever, and I just have that Zoom up, and it's not even, no one has their videos on. You know what I mean? It's just audio, really. So it's just a nice kind of little meeting place every morning that like you got your cup of coffee, you're starting to look through MLS to post some Facebook ads or put up a property of the day, and you're learning something too. And they try to steer it positive. That's been pretty great. Then at 8 o'clock, I do, a couple of handwritten notes, and throughout the day, I always think of like things that people have done, or I want to just stay in touch with someone or whatever, and I make like a short list and cross them out once I've done a thank you note. What's after that? Then I do 9 to 12 is prospecting. It's Facebook Marketplace, reaching out to SOI, text, or Facebook. I don't cold call my sphere. I just kind of stay in touch with them. I just recently just went and had, I'd reached out to a lot of people when I first started, and some of them, were like, hey, we're gonna go have a drink. Some of them reached out to me recently. A guy that was on my staff when I was teaching drum corps, went and hung out with him, but then I sent him a handwritten note afterwards, and he's a mid 20 something in Fort Worth, and he knows a shit ton of people that are starting to look for houses, so just kind of building off of that. But 9 to 12 is nothing but marketplace, replying to marketplace, connecting with the SOI. I try to not even do anything else but that, try to protect that time. And then 12 to 1 is whatever the hell I want in terms of grab a quick snack. Sometimes if it's nice outside, I'll go work out again, or just go up to the closest driving range and hit a bucket of balls to get away from it, and then come back and keep crunching either appointments or throw another few advertisements up, or just some administrative stuff you got to kind of check on or whatever. The couple closings I have coming up, they're always blowing me up about, you don't have this paperwork in or whatever, all that, doing a little bit of that. But the schedule's been huge, and it sucked for a couple weeks, but I think there's so many of the little things in that daily routine that get your mindset right. And for me, today I slept in and didn't get up till 7. And so I didn't work out. I grabbed a cup of coffee and pretty much got right to Breakfast Club and sat down here, and that was over, got through some other stuff. And then literally it's like what Tony just said. It sucks to work at home. I get antsy. I'm like, man, I just don't want to be here right now. I don't want to do this right now. And so I just went and worked out, because I hadn't worked out this morning. And then I sat back down and I was like, I'm ready to work. For me, that gets all the cobwebs out and any antsiness or any negative thoughts, just getting a workout in. So I know the long spiel, but that has really helped me build some momentum, I feel like.
Yeah, it's definitely noticeable, Brad. So whatever you're doing is working, and it's leading to, possibilities, right? A mindset of abundance, not going, oh my God, am I ever going to do this? Time blocking, is really everything that you were saying goes back to time blocking, and you have to treat it like a job. So Colin, you said you left, a lucrative career. If you were still at that career, what time would you have to be at work?
I guess it would be a pilot, but as beginner, it would be very early.
Yeah.
Very early.
So
very late at night too. But
so I would just say you got to go to work, man. You got to go to work, and you put in the work now so that you don't have to put in the work later. Right? That there's a good little phrase: put in the work now so that you can enjoy the things later. So you gotta do some kind of schedule, and it sounds like you've had some tough things that you've been going through with your dog being sick and stuff like that. But go, hey, I'm going to be prospecting or working at least 9 to 12.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe it's shorter, and right after this, as I'm doing this, my brain hurts. So when we wrap this up, I shut it down and I go talk to people in the office here and just take a break, take a breather, and not think. I'm my brain hurts from doing this, right?
That's a really good point, Tony. The schedule can be daunting, and everyone gets to make it their own. But one of the things that helped me the most was just do an ad today. Just do one ad today, right? And then do one ad tomorrow and maybe another, and it's building momentum, because, people have all these templates and methodologies and schedules that work for them. You can't just sit down and do it. you can't do it as efficiently as they do it. You can't, it's hard to, like, some of those schedules, like, man, it took me all day to write 2 letters one time.
Mhm.
You know, like, you just gotta, you gotta target one thing you're gonna do tomorrow that you didn't do today, and do it, and then do it again the next day. Like, not even add to it, just do the same thing 2 days in a row, and then add something to it. And then, or at least that's, I don't know if everyone works that way, but that helped me a lot, was like, just start something.
Yeah.
Do it a couple days in a row.
That's literally the toughest thing, is to start. And I find, and I'm sure you find this as well, Brad and Colin, is like, as soon as you do like one thing, you kind of keep going. You do another thing. It's like, oh, well, okay, cool. I knocked that out. Let me do one more thing, and it's just starting. Like, I want you to understand that my week is not perfect. Like, it is not flawless. I mean, things happen. These are my goals. I try to hit 5 social media things, and my follow up, and my database, and my real estate reviews, my thank you cards. But sometimes shit happens, and I going back to, I think, the 12-week year, they talk about 80% of whatever you're shooting for is really good. It's way more than most are doing. My Monday and Tuesday follow-up were pretty good, but that's pretty much all of my hot stuff. And then Wednesday, I kind of got lazy. I forgot what happened yesterday, but I wasn't as productive. But I did some other things that, propelled my business or agent attraction forward, or whatever it is. But yeah, go back to just doing, I'm going to do 1 ad. 2 ads seems daunting. Let me just do 1 ad. All right. And then you'll do that ad like 3 days in a row and go, man, I'm getting pretty fucking good at that. Like, it blows me away how fast I just did those 2 different properties real estate review. I ran the real estate comps, I ran the CMA, I ran a net sheet, and submit, like, I was like, bam, 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 bam. But it's because I've done it. It used to take me a long ass time to do that shit. And now I've just like done it so many times, like, boom, this next, okay, boom. And then you start figuring it out and you go, fuck. Honestly, if I spend an hour doing that, I could knock out 5 to 10 easily, and man, what if I just spent my whole day doing real estate reviews? What if I did 5 real estate reviews for 5 people that I know live in a house and called it a fucking day? And if you did that for an entire week and sent out 25 people a real estate review, I guarantee you're going to have some people going, hey, I might be interested in this. Guarantee it. And you're talking about, even if you're slow right now, you can probably knock that out in 2 hours and go, okay, my day's done. Let me go play some golf. Let me go screw around, go walk my dog, whatever it is. So those things are important. Well, cool. I think we pretty much covered this. What we're struggling with, what we have questions with. Last thing is, there's something, I did do a recording with Christina yesterday about how to upload a transaction into SkySlope. And I think, Brad, I've walked you through that before. Colin, probably not. But I'm going to post that. It's like a little 15-minute, this is how you do it, fill it out, boom, red, green system. So I'll post that as well. And then I'm probably going to do the same thing. I think, Colin, I've already showed you how to set up your buyer's packet and seller's packet for the documents that you need. So I'll probably do a short video on that as well. Is there anything off the top of your head that you're going, hey, I have no idea about this. Can we talk about this at some point?
Mine would be, it's kind of like situation or advice, but not like scripts, but more so like kind of like go into teams and then just say, hey, there's a problem, and then work with, like, you come up with like a couple problems for this Zoom call, and then we go over how would we address each problem and kind of learn like the most common problems. But I wouldn't know how to do it, and I don't know if Brad would know how to do it, but you would. And then just like kind of like we talk through how are we going to understand that way.
As things, sorry, Colin, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
Like as things happen throughout your workday, Tony, like if you just start taking mental notes or any stories you hear in that office from, is that a lending office?
Title, yeah.
or title office, like just every little experience that's like, man, someone learned something or a crazy story, but actually has some operational knowledge, you know, any of that stuff, just start collecting that or making a note of like, I need to tell the guys this, you know, I think that that's the best way to learn. I think Colin's kind of alluding to the same thing, is like just as much. And when, especially when we have like more of the older guys around, like if we could cue them up to like, man, it would be awesome if you just brought a story, like a quick 3-minute story every time you hopped on this, like, hey, I learned this today or this week or this past month, or because I know that that's what makes me feel like I'm starting to get like a toolbox instead of like trying to use a screwdriver to hammer a nail, which I feel like sometimes.
We won't go over it, but like Jim Ragsdale, he reduced his commission to 1% on the list side to help out a friend. And then all of a sudden, they came back with another property and he wanted to charge full 3%, right? And of course, they're like, I thought you charged 1%. And he's like, how do I handle that? You know, and he proposes that to me, Mark Chambers, and Alan Grulick. And even Mark Chambers is like, ooh, that's a fucking tough one. I
Shouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
that's how you handle it, by not doing it with anyone else.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, hey, don't fucking tell your friends that we're doing this, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's a tough thing. And again, every situation is so different. But I like that, you know, sharing a story that you recently had. I know Mark's had some stories. Like Alan was telling me, he's like, this fucking buyer just like fired me or whatever. And, you know, like, why did that happen? And, you know, how can we prevent that? Or, you know, what could we have done? So I like that.